All right, so this is a quick video on the assembly of this bird feeder. The first thing you're going to do is cut out a piece of polycarbonate, and I ripped a 18-inch piece on my table saw. And then once you cut that, what you're going to do is you're going to wrap it into a tube shape, and it's going to overlap with one of these bumps here, so you can have a 5-point like a star. And what I did is I wrapped it, and I put a piece of tape here, here, and here, and then I had to adjust to make sure I lined this up nicely here. And then I was able to drill 4 holes here and put my bolts through to form this tube. And you can see on the inside there's a plastic printed piece on the back here. I don't know if that's really necessary, but it's up there. You can download and print those. I thought maybe to help distribute the load for a cleaner shape here, but I don't know if it's really necessary. Once you get the tube assembled, the next thing you're going to do is put this top piece on. All these pieces print without supports. So once you print this piece, there's a 1-inch slot in here that this inserts into in this lid to make this waterproof, as the rain will drain down this way and not get in there. But what you want to do with your tube is start on this side, and you're going to kind of work your way around, because this one's a little bit of a pain to get in there. But once you get everything lined up and partially inserted, this thing will drop onto the tube. And then I've got 5 M4 screws that I put in here. Once you get this tube inserted into the top, then you can drill these holes, and these just self-tap onto the inside, and then you'll have your cap mount on your tube. The next thing you want to do is in the bottom here, I've got some magnet holders you can see there, and then I've got the bottom cap, and these have magnets that were just pressed into place and then glued with a dab of super glue at the bottom of them. And then what you want to do, figure out how you want to position these. You're going to have 3 on one side, 1 on the other, and then this is just going to insert in here. And there's a picture in the Prusa printables there where you can see where I test fitted these, because these magnets are polarized, right? They only stick to one side. They're going to repel it otherwise. So you want to get your magnets put into these pieces here. There's 3 of them, and then match up your magnets where you're going to install them here so that they actually adhere. So when I figured out the positions of these pieces here with this, I had a few of them where the magnets were reversed, but all 3 of these stuck to all 3 of these in some position. So what I did was, at that point, you put all 3 of those in here, you slowly insert this in here, and then I think I went like a 1/2 inch deep here with this spacing, but you can measure it out to figure out when it's not installed, 1/4 inch up on one side, 1/4 inch down from the top, and that's where you want to drill your pilot holes. So measure that, measure your depth here, and try to figure out where you want that. But I've designed this such that this thing installs deep enough that if a squirrel grabs onto one of these feeding points, it can't swing down and get its feet onto anything here. That's why this is inside here, so there's no lip for them to hang on to. And then what you can do is just drill 2 holes, and I just used an M3 driver with my drill and just drill these, self-tapping them into those holes, and get all 3 of those mounted. Once you get those mounted, that's going to determine where you can put your feeding points. As you notice, this has a ramp, and that's so the seed, once it gets down to this point, will just divert this way and go to those bottom feeders, so that birds can completely empty the feeder. There's no flat spot in there that's going to hold seed. So you can see the ramp is right there. It's dropping seed towards this feeder and this feeder, and then at the high point, I've got this feeder here and this feeder here. So you want to get this mounted first, get these mounted. Once you have that installed, then mark where you want to put these, and you can see where the base is right there. So that seed is going to go down there to the birds so they can empty it. And then what you want to do is, I drilled 1-inch holes here, and then I would test fit these, mark them with a Sharpie, and then drill those holes and put those bolts into place with a nut. And so that's the way the bottom of this is built out. Get my magnets lined up here. There you go. So that's how the base is built. The top, pretty straightforward. I put a cap on here that screws into place. It bolts all the way through. You can see way down there at the end, you can see the nuts. But the reason I have that top on there is so if this breaks off, you can, instead of reprinting this whole thing, you can just print the new top cap. The other thing is, if somebody wants to take this and remix it for some kind of different mounting bracket, they can do that, and then you just have to screw them on here, so it makes that more versatile. This is just a piece of 1/8 inch music wire. I think this was from an old election sign we had in our yard. So I took that and just fashioned it into a hook that goes on there, and then this can hang. That pretty much covers the assembly of this. If you have any questions, leave a comment. But otherwise, this thing has worked out really well. The way I designed this is, a squirrel, if it hangs on up here with its back legs, can't stretch down and hang and feed from one of these points. They were emptying a bunch of my feeders using that method, so or a couple of them rather. And so this way they can't hang down. There's nothing really for them to hang on to up here, being a cone shape. It's pretty slippery. And then down here, these are staggered, so the squirrel can't lay across. And I've seen that where they'll lay here, across another point here, and then feed from here. I like my squirrels, but I like my birds to feed too. So this has worked really well. I've seen 4 birds on here feeding. The squirrels pretty much just look at this thing and walk past now. They've got other feeders in my yard they can eat from. But they were pretty much sitting on all my feeders and just emptying them, and the birds couldn't eat either. So this is a pretty nice solution. I'm pretty stoked. It's worked well. Holds more seed than my old feeder. So hope you find this video useful.